afternoon, Farmington police offered a timeline of the mass shooting, showing how the shooter inflicted horrible damage in just 10 minutes. Police say a Ring camera caught Bo Wilson walking along North Dustin in his Farmington neighborhood at 10:56 yesterday morning. Wilson was firing indiscriminately with 3 weapons, including an assault-style rifle. Within a minute, dispatchers were flooded with hundreds of calls for help.
We heard the shots, and then my neighbor took a look out down the street and said, "Get inside. Yeah, he's coming." And we all ran inside the house and barricaded ourselves in, locked the doors.
Just 6 minutes later, at 11:02, Farmington police and state police officer Andreas Stamatiadis arrived on scene. Stamatiadis was wounded before he ever got out of his police unit and drove himself to San Juan Regional Medical Center. 4 minutes later, at 11:06, 4 Farmington police officers engaged Wilson. During the shootout, police fired 16 rounds and killed the mass shooter.
I looked out my window and saw him laying there in front of the Presbyterian Church, or not the Presbyterian Science Church.
Farmington police officer Rachel DeSenza was wounded. The entire event took just 10 minutes. In that time, police say, Wilson killed 3 elderly women in their vehicles, shot up at least 6 homes, and wounded 6, including the 2 police officers. In all, police say, Wilson fired nearly 150 rounds. Tonight, all the wounded have been released from the hospital. Neighbors along that quarter-mile crime scene still in shock tonight about the mass shooting yesterday that happened right outside their homes. News 13's Natalie Wattis brings us what neighbors and a friend of one of the victims had to say in the aftermath.
In a news conference today, Farmington police tallied those injured and killed by the gunman Monday. Among them, 3 victims, 79-year-old Shirley Voita, 73-year-old Melody Ivy, and Ivy's mother, 97-year-old Gwendolyn Schofield. Holly Allen, a resident of Farmington, says she knew Ivy well and remembers her fondly.
People in the church knew them well, and they were a really great family, and a lot of people loved them and adored them. She was a wonderful preschool teacher and a wonderful, very wonderful Sunday teacher. I don't think there's ever been one bad thing said about her because she, like I said, she's a wonderful person inside and out.
Other folks in the area still shaken after their terrifying experience.
He was coming down, and there was other neighbors outside, and he was shooting, randomly, and they heard bullets whizzing over their head.
There was people everywhere. There was 3 cars parked at the stop sign down here with bullet holes in them. Their cars had got shots, and they were older ladies. They were frantic. Everyone was just out here freaking out, not knowing what to do.
I was very nervous. I couldn't sleep last night. It was awful, and because we couldn't come in the house, we couldn't do anything. My whole driveway was with yellow tape.
People left wondering, how could this happen in their neighborhood?
Such a good neighborhood. Nothing crazy like this has ever happened.
I don't think I want to be comfortable anymore. See, I had a wonderful landlord and all, but I told my husband, I don't know, my lease ends in January. I don't know if I really want to stay here.
One neighbor who says her son went to school with the shooter says no one saw this coming.
He seemed like a normal kid. My son Talon said that he seemed like a normal kid, and he couldn't see him doing this, is what he said.
Natalie Wattis, KRQE News 13.
Even police were shocked by the violence and the brutality of the crime scene, calling it a, quote, shock to the senses. The mayor said they will be holding a vigil at 6 tomorrow evening at the Farmington Museum. Of course, we're working to learn just as much as we can about yesterday's tragedy in Farmington. Stay with us on air at KRQE and at krqe.com online for the very latest information.
Let me say, I want to send my condolences to the victims that lost their lives 2 days ago by this mass shooter. It's shocking because the 3 victims, as you can see, were the elderly. 2 of them are mother and daughter. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, As you know, that the shooter has now been later been identified as 18-year-old Bo Wilson. That's Beau Wilson. And really, you can tell that he just walking by with he got like multiple weapons. Reportedly he had multiple weapons, and still police are still, or the feds are still investigating on how he obtained these weapons. But and a lot of people don't know about New Mexico. I'm just going to give you a taste of what's going on in New Mexico. I mean, I don't know. Now, we already know about New York. We already know about Chicago or LA, and, smaller towns around that area. But here in New Mexico, we're like family, right? No matter if you live in Santa Fe, Albuquerque, no matter if you live in Farmington, no matter if you live in other places like that. It's the thing about New Mexicans is that they'll welcome you with open arms. I think it's one thing about, because I've been living here in Albuquerque for 3 years, and even my neighbors is sometimes checking up on me and making sure that I'm okay. This is basically how New Mexicans are. And the thing about Farmington is nothing new. The only difference is that Farmington is sort of like a small town around New Mexico. And by the way, it's 2 hours away from Albuquerque. Farmington is. It's just like 2 hours away. But no matter what town you living in, like if it's Marco, it's really, Farmington is a town that everybody knows everybody loves everybody respects everybody. But when I did this story, when I heard there's a mass shooting, and I found this story out on Twitter. When I found out there was a mass shooting in New Mexico, turns out it was Farmington. I was like, wow. Basically, I was in shock. It's like, I think 2 weeks ago there was I think about a month ago, excuse me, there was a police police involved shooting, they were shooting at the wrong neighbor. Now this incident. But it shows that the community is coming together. That's what New Mexicans do. Every time there's a tragedy happen, they always come together, regardless of the situation. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let everybody else know how New Mexicans roll. The thing of it is that people around here, majority around people, it depends on what part of New Mexico you're living in, and there's a majority of other people, especially heard in Farmington, are very friendly. They're very friendly, and they will check up on you. They'll make sure you're okay. You make sure you need food, you need water, whatever you need, and that's what other people. I wish other states does it, but New Mexicans always do it, and that's what's so important about this. So y'all let me know what you think about this. This is basically sad because 3 victims, 2 of them are mother and daughter. I think the daughter was like 78, 79, and the mother's only 90, in her 90s. And it's sad. So my thoughts and prayers goes to the victims, and their families. Hopefully they get some support throughout the community, because this to me is tragedy. So y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next video. This Lions Den signing off. Deuces.